Hey, it's Shaggy, and time once again to go diving deep into the waters of American dumbness. Today, let's talk about a simple word called fact. Fact is, most Americans are too busy to check if the news they see is based on actual events that really happen. Take today's case in point. It's a story coming out of Japan of the fate of the crew of the doomed whaling vessel, the MV Nishin Maru. And when a fire broke out on their ship due to a leaky gas line, several crew members were forced to evacuate the safety of their ship for the cold waters of the Bering Sea before their lifeboats were fully deployed. Now, as an engineer on the boat watched on in horror, several of the waterbound crew were quickly devoured by killer whales, 15 of them in pieces and one in his entirety. And pretty awesome, right? The Japanese, who are known for hunting whales in brutal and sometimes illegal ways, now sent into the waters to get the whales' righteous revenge for the senseless slaughter of their own kind. That is, at least what a lot of Americans thought in the comments of this story posted to the worlddailyreport.com. Poetic justice, responded one commenter. Victory for the whales, joyously exclaimed another. There's only one little problem with this story, really. It's a complete fake. Now, that website that I mentioned, if you take a moment to look at the bottom of the page, you'll see a link that takes you to this little bit of text that reads, World News Daily Report is a news and political satire web publication which may or may not use real names, often in semi-real or mostly fictitious ways. All news articles contained within worldnewsdailyreport.com are fiction and presumably fake news. Any resemblance to the truth is purely coincidental, except for all references to politicians and or celebrities, in which case they are based on real people but still based almost entirely in fiction. But you see, before you go and say something like, oh, that link is buried, how was I supposed to know this was a fake story? Well, because basic public school science. Now look, we all know from science class that gravity pulls you towards the center of the earth at 32.2 feet per second, or it can be written out as this number. We also know from science class that everything can only fall to earth so fast given air resistance, friction, and a lot of other factors along those lines. The point of falling as fast as possible, that's terminal velocity. And no, that did not star Keanu Reeves. For a person, terminal velocity is right around 120 miles per hour, unless you're Kittinger, which is somewhere around 776 miles per hour. But that's a different show. A human in free fall can reach terminal velocity in a relatively fast amount of time. In fact, if you know that whaling vessels are actually a few stories off the ocean, you can start to see that someone jumping off the deck of one would be traveling too fast to not break every bone in their body upon touching the water's surface. Bet you didn't know this. If you jumped into the Bering Sea, that can kill you within 2 minutes too, due to the extreme coldness. Truth is, a pod of whales couldn't devour 16 people in the Bering Sea alive because by the time they got around to all those people, most would have died from hypothermia. Another fun fact, well, Japanese whaling vessels don't hunt orcas. There's hardly any reports outside of SeaWorld of killer whales being people killers. And they definitely can't tell if you're Japanese. That would be racist. Saying that this obvious fake story has any basis in reality after knowing just these basic facts is pretty impossible. Now, point is, news that you read online has a very high chance of being fake. It can often be misleading, as you see with those annoying "you won't believe what happened next" links that your Facebook friends like to share like a wine bottle at a grad party. It's not the playful kitty that you see in the thumbnail is suddenly going to turn into a dragon and devour a dog, because that would actually be something I wouldn't believe would happen next. But it never turns out that way. Nor do any of those annoying links actually turn out to be incredible, amazing, breathtaking, or any of the other buzzwords used in their headlines, and hardly any of them are actual fact. So before you go being a dumb American, always check your facts first. And join me next time as we discover more ways of the mighty dumb here in America.